You have done it. You have made it to Unit 3. Whether you already knew the basics of PHP or you went through all the videos in Unit 2 to learn the basics, you've made it to the beginning of the project, and we are going to do some real coding. So we're going to take our time, and we're going to build this application slowly, and you're going to learn as you're building it, and you're going to understand a little bit about what you're doing and why you're doing it. But the first thing I want to show you is that if you go to github/mudmin/smartscan, what you can see is that I am doing basically a running, they call it a diff, of all the code that I'm doing. So when you come on here and you go to these commits, which I went there and I clicked on the thing commits. At the end of every lesson, there's going to be a new commit here, and the first one's say initial commit because that's where I just uploaded the original code. But you'll see that basically every single time a lesson is done, we're going to save it in here, and you'll be able to see what changes I made. And so, for instance, I'm going to do this while we're here. I'm going to delete this file here. And then I'm going to make a new folder called lessons. And then I'm going to take all these lessons and just put them in the folder called lessons, so they're kind of out of the way. I think I'm going to do that. What happened? Oh, maybe it just didn't show up. Let's yeah, they were moved already. My bad. So they're there. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to, on another screen, I'm going to do get add dot get commit. Okay, so what basically I'm doing is every single time I make a major change to the code, I'm going to put that here, and then you can click on this thing here and you can see basically what I did. So I did 9 files. I didn't add anything. I deleted some things. And basically I renamed these files. But when there's actual changes to the code, you'll see that anything in red was deleted and anything green was added. So that could just come in handy in the future. If you want to see my code as I'm doing it, you can go to that particular lesson and see what it is I did. So we are at the beginning, and so we have this blank home page, and we're going to be doing some coding, and we're going to be doing some more complicated stuff. But what I want to do in the beginning is we're going to do something the easy way. And so let's see here. Let's go to the dashboard, and let's go to templates, and let's say just for the heck of it, we are going to pick one called, let's pick Simplex. Now you're welcome to put whatever other template you want, but I'm just going to choose this one called Simplex. And now I'm going to come back here, and that space is gone from the top, and I have kind of a more gray and red theme. You can play around with that. You can choose whichever one you want. Now you'll see here there's a thing where basically users can send messages to each other. We may play around with that stuff a little bit more, but let's go to the dashboard, and we're going to go to Tools, and we're going to go to Form Builder. Now, one of the things you are going to do a ton of in PHP is create forms. So many things are forms. So many things are forms on websites that you don't even realize are forms. And there's a lot of doing it manually, and we're going to mostly do it manually. But while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and show you the easy way to do it, because we're going to get into database stuff later. So what we're going to do, I'm going to try to stay away from the database stuff as much as possible until we get a little bit more of a feel for what we're doing. So I am going to create a form, and I'm going to call it students. And now we talked about the fact that we're building an RFID system, and we're going to get rid of the whole concept of parents right now, and we're just going to deal with students. And so we're going to create a form called students, and you'll see what will happen is form was created, and so we're going to come in here and we are going to give it a field type of text, because like we're going to be doing names. And now what's happening is this thing is creating our database tables for us, and so that's super nice in the beginning. Now as we go on, you're going to do it yourself, and you're going to create these tables, and you're going to see the information in the database and all that. But for now, we're going to let UserSpice do it for us. So we're going to keep it super simple. And because the main reason we're going to do it this way is because you can come back to this form later and add information that will be specific to whatever you're doing with this application. So we're going to do the first one, and we're just going to put fname for first name, and then the label when you're displaying the forms is first name. And then let's say if we're doing a table, we might just want to put first, because if you think about it, like, you've got a table wide and you don't want really long names for your tables. And so we're going to say that it's required, and then we're just going to hit create form or create field. And now you'll see down here we have a basic preview of a form that says first name with a thing, and it's got the little star to tell you it's required. So we're going to do a couple more of these. We're going to do another text one, and we're going to do L name. And then we're going to say last name, and then we'll put last, and we're going to say that it's required, and we're going to create the field. And now then the next thing we're going to do, and we're just going to make this the last one that we're going to do, and we're going to do a column called RFID. Now, I said in the introduction, you can use a password in this field, you can use a barcode in this field, you can use an RFID tag. For my demonstration purposes, I'm going to do RFID, and we're just going to call this column RFID, even though you can store whatever you want there. Now, RFID tags are generally all numbers, but we're going to go ahead and put text in there. We could force it and say this has to be a number, this has to be a whole number, but because I want to give you the ability to store passwords or other things like that in here, we're going to do text, and we're going to call the column name RFID, and we're going to call it, let's see, publicly, let's call it code. Let's call it RFID. If you don't like it, you can change that later, or put whatever you want there, but I'm going to call it RFID. Now, I would say for the point of this course, call this RFID, because we're going to use this in the code about 3,000 times, and so you absolutely want this DB column name to be called RFID. So we're going to put RFID here, and we're going to make it required, and then create the field. And so now we have a very simple table that's first name, last name, and RFID. And so we could come in here and edit that, but we're not going to. So what happens is, if we look down here, let's see here. So if we come to home, we can see that in order to display this form, we're given this shortcode, and this is our first real PHP. Now, if you were in the last section and you saw video 8 of section 2, you'll see that we did something called functions. And basically, remember I said I did echo text and then hello? Well, in this function, we're telling it to display the form called students. And so we're going to make a new page. I'm going to come over to the code editor. Okay, and I'm going to open that up. And I'm going to make a new file. Now, instead of doing what I've been doing is right-clicking and hitting new file and doing that. Instead, what we're going to do, we want to make sure that we have all the UserSpice stuff available to us. So we're going to go into users and blank pages. And you have this project root. And what that means is that this file is kind of pre-configured for you to stick it here in the SmartScan folder. So what we're going to do is we're going to right-click that, and we're going to duplicate. And we're going to get rid of all this stuff from the beginning, because we want to just have the file in the SmartScan folder, and we're going to call it new student.php. So now if I get rid of all this stuff, let me get rid of this, we have a green file here called new student.php. And what it has is it has that init line that we've been doing, and it has our template stuff. So basically, it knows off the bat how to make the template. Then it has this thing about secure page, and we're going to get to that in a second. And then it has a good place to put some PHP at the top. and it has some of the basic HTML that we need, and then it has the footer for our copyright thing. So first thing we're going to do is we have our page, but this page would not load. And the reason for that is because of this line right here. So this line is kind of the magic thing of UserSpice that allows users to be able to visit some pages but not other pages. So we're going to do this very quickly. We're going to go to permission levels, and we're going to add a new permission level called manager, because we don't want just anybody to be able to visit this page. We only want managers to be able to visit the page. So I created a new level called managers. And then what's going to happen is, I'm going to do this in a new tab. I'm going to go to localhost smart scan, and then I'm going to go to new student.php. Now, since I'm logged in as admin already, it redirected me to this page where I can come in here and I can set, all right, this page is private, which means that you have to be logged in to see it. And then what permission levels do you need to visit this page? Well, admins and managers are the only ones who should be able to visit this page. And then we're just going to put this in here, new student, so it shows up in the title bar. And so when I hit update, we're redirected, and now you can see that in the title bar it says new student, which is that last thing that we added, and we're at new student.php with a blank thing, but it does have our template. It has which I don't actually know that it has the right template, but it has our template, and it has our basic information there. The page is secure. Only somebody, if I were to come here and log out and try to visit new student.php, I'm redirected to the login screen. So you've just made your first page, and in the next video we are going to put the form on that page and actually process the form.